Okie doke. So, why do we shift to energy intensive goods? If you like, I mean, I bang on about flying, but it's just a nice example. There's lots of other energy intensive goods. But why do we fly more and more? And it's not just, GDP growth is like 1.5%, 2% a year. It's not that the growth in flying is also 1.5%, 2% a year. It's that these energy intensive things are growing faster than that, right? That's the whole point. That the energy intensive things are growing faster than GDP growth, less energy intensive things are growing slower. It's a shift in the pattern. It's not just the growth. That's super important to understand. Yeah, okay. So, why that shift? One possibility is substitution effects. It got cheaper to fly. People like cheap stuff. They fly more. The other one is income effects. People got richer. Rich people like flying. We fly more. Okay, let's look at the substitution effects. Are these potentially large? So here's a simple model with very strong, or potentially very strong substitution effects. So we've got two products, Y1 and Y2. So we've got household and two products. Oh, sorry, yeah. Let's make that the office block. And this, the factory. And let's say we've got an energy sector here, and this is energy. This is labor. So this product is like education or something. It's pure labor. So this is Y1, and that is gamma L, AL, L. And this is Y2, and that is gamma R, AR, R. So this is like flying or something, but it's literally flying. The only input to flying is energy. Okay, so this is super extreme. Then we put these two together and sell them to the consumers. Okay. And we can also have we could, if we wanted to do a full general equilibrium, we'd want to say, okay, where's this coming from? We might need to send some labor here to make the energy and so on. That's not going to change things. So just keeping this as simple as I possibly can. We're just saying this is coming from somewhere. And let's say this aggregate y comes out of here, and it's a function of y1 and y2. And let's keep it general and say, oh, it's a CES. It's alpha y1 to the epsilon plus 1 minus alpha y2 to the epsilon all to the 1 over epsilon. Okay, so if epsilon is 1, we've got Cobb-Douglas. If epsilon is negative, they're not very good substitutes, and we really, really want both, kind of. If one of them gets scarce, then its price goes up very steeply. If epsilon is greater than 1, we're like pretty happy to substitute between them. Okie doke. And like I said, we're not going to go into detail, but let's just say that this R has a price WR, and labor, cost of hiring labor, is WL, and let's just say that WR over WL evolves exogenously. And let's imagine someone here running a perfectly competitive firm, putting these two together and selling them on to consumers. This is the easiest way to think when we're modeling this. So the profits of that guy is going to be y, pyy, but py we normalize to 1, minus p1, y1, minus p2, y2. Okay. So what have we got? Let's see what it tells us to do here. Briefly, derive two different expressions for the ratio of the prices of the aggregate goods. Firstly, by comparing their marginal contribution to y. Okay, so that's this. So d pi by dy1, for instance, is 1 over alpha, blah, 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 1 over epsilon, so on and so forth. We end up with y to the 1 minus epsilon alpha y1 to the epsilon over y1 equals p1. So we can say equals p1 y1. And we have y to the 1 minus epsilon 1 minus alpha y2 to the epsilon is p2 y2 by symmetry. So that's the one part. And if we divide one by the other, we have alpha over 1 minus alpha y1 over y2 to the epsilon is p1 over p2 y1 over y2. So of course we can like shift this over and get a relationship between y1 and y2 and p1 and p2. Okay, just let me pause this. Okay, but then, so we were here, if we go back to the previous slide, what is P1? This thing keeps coming unscrewed. In given perfect markets, the price of good 1 is the total cost, it's unit cost, given perfect markets, and no scarcity. It's unit cost, which is price, total cost divided by quantity. Total cost of good 1 is WLL, that's the input cost. Total quantity is Y1 is gamma L, ALL. So the price is WL over gamma L AL. And similarly, P2 is WR over gamma R AR. Okay. And this, if we go here, we can wipe that and say 1 over epsilon. Then if we use this, so P1 over P2, oh that's P1 over P1, P1 over P2 is WL over WR gamma R AR over gamma L AL. So we've got two expressions for P1 over P2 in terms of in terms of here we've got WL over WR AR over AL. Here we've got Y1 over Y2, but Y1 over Y2 is of course gamma L ALL over gamma R ARR. So if we put all that together, do a bit of algebra, we can get the expression there. I'm not going to go through it. Instead, we're going to go on to the interpretation very shortly. Okay, I just wanted to go through the algebra myself just to double check that these expressions were correct, which they were. It's very straightforward. So we've got this expression. So what does that expression tell us? Let's go to the next page. So here's the expression. So this is how energy use, say, changes compared to labor depending on parameters and prices. Okay. Now, put epsilon equal to 0. That's Cobb-Douglas. What do we get? We get R over L, that middle term here, just becomes 1, right? Anything raised to 0 is 1. And this is just 1. So then we just get R over L is 1 minus alpha over alpha WL over WR. Or WRR over WLL is 1 minus alpha over alpha. Then we have, that's the constant share result, and that means 100% rebound. So as you can see, the terms in AR and AL, they just drop out. So changes in AR and AL don't affect energy use in relation to labor, because when epsilon is 0, this just drops out. So that's 100% rebound. We increase production efficiency or energy efficiency of this energy intensive good, but because we have Cobb-Douglas here, that drives up the demand for this good to exactly compensate, and we end up with the same energy use in relation to labor. Okay, the result was intuitive. We got two products, one made entirely using labor, the other using energy. Given the Cobb-Douglas, the products take constant shares, which means the labor and energy shares are also constant. So in this economy, boosting AR doesn't help to reduce energy demand. But what happens if we tax energy use? So this could also be, by the way, a way to explain the aggregate data. Maybe we have very energy intense products and some very unenergy intense products which are pretty substitutable on the consumption side, and that's why the energy data is what it is. If that's true, what happens if we tax energy use? Okay, we'll leave that to the to class, I think. But you just need to write down the expression with epsilon 0, write it down, think about what happens to WR when you tax energy use, what happens to R. Okay. Okay, so far so good. We're gonna, in a little while, we're gonna show that that model doesn't match reality, because this story just doesn't match reality. There aren't products that are like hugely energy intense and other products that are not using energy. Instead, like most products use a fair bit of energy. There's just not that much variation, and there's not very much substitutability here either. So that just isn't the explanation. But we'll come back to that. For now, we're going to move on to video income effects, which is the next video.